In Atlas of the Heart, Brené Brown sets out to answer a powerful question. What if we could accurately name what we're feeling and understand how those emotions shape our lives? The book is built on the idea that language gives us power. When we lack the right words for our internal experiences, we misunderstand ourselves and miscommunicate with others. But when we expand our emotional vocabulary, we gain clarity, connection, and control. Brown argues that emotional literacy is not a soft skill. It is a life skill that affects leadership, relationships, creativity, and resilience. The core premise of the book is simple but transformative. We can only navigate emotions that we can identify. Many people reduce their feelings to just a handful of words: happy, sad, angry, stressed. Brown's research suggests that most adults can only accurately identify 3 emotions: happiness, sadness, and anger. Yet human experience is far more nuanced. There is a profound difference between stress and overwhelm, between disappointment and regret, between belonging and fitting in. Without the right distinctions, we respond in ways that don't actually address what we're feeling. Brown organizes the book into 87 distinct emotions and experiences, grouped into meaningful categories. She explores places we go when things are uncertain or too much, such as anxiety, avoidance, comparison, and perfectionism. She explains how anxiety is not simply fear, but the uncertainty of what might happen, combined with a lack of control. She differentiates between stress, which is pressure, and overwhelm, which is an extreme level of stress that feels unmanageable. These distinctions matter because the strategies for coping are different. Naming the experience accurately is the first step toward regulating it. Another powerful section focuses on comparison and self-worth. Brown highlights the difference between belonging and fitting in. Belonging is being accepted for who you truly are. Fitting in is becoming who you need to be in order to be accepted. That distinction alone can reshape how we evaluate our relationships and environments. When we constantly shapeshift to fit expectations, we may gain approval, but we lose authenticity. True belonging requires vulnerability, the courage to show up as ourselves even when we risk rejection. The book also explores the emotions that shape how we connect with others: love, trust, empathy, compassion, shame, and jealousy. Brown defines trust in practical, behavioral terms. Trust is built in small moments through reliability, boundaries, accountability, and integrity. It is not declared, it is demonstrated consistently. Shame, on the other hand, is the intensely painful feeling of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Brown distinguishes shame from guilt. Guilt says, "I did something bad." Shame says, "I am bad." This difference is crucial because guilt can motivate change, while shame often leads to hiding, defensiveness, or aggression. One of the most insightful parts of the book is the discussion of vulnerability. Brown reframes vulnerability as emotional exposure, risk, and uncertainty. It is not weakness, it is the birthplace of courage and connection. Every meaningful relationship, every creative endeavor, every act of leadership requires stepping into uncertainty. When we avoid vulnerability, we also avoid growth. The cost of emotional armor is high. It protects us from discomfort, but it also blocks joy, intimacy, and authenticity. Brown also addresses the emotional experiences tied to failure and disappointment. She separates disappointment from regret. Disappointment is unmet expectations. Regret involves wishing we had made different choices. Understanding the difference helps us respond wisely. Disappointment may require adjusting expectations or grieving a loss. Regret may require accountability, learning, and making amends. Emotional clarity prevents us from overreacting or misdirecting our energy. Throughout the book, Brown emphasizes that emotions are data, not directives. They provide information, but they should not automatically determine our behavior. For example, feeling anger does not justify cruelty. Feeling fear does not require avoidance. Instead, emotions signal what matters to us, where our boundaries lie, and what values are being challenged. By becoming curious about our feelings rather than judgmental, we move from reactivity to responsiveness. A central theme in the book is the power of story. Humans are meaning-making creatures. When something painful or confusing happens, we immediately create a narrative to explain it. Sometimes those stories are inaccurate and fueled by insecurity. Brown encourages readers to question their first story and gather more information. Asking, "What else could be true?" creates space for empathy and reduces conflict. This simple shift can transform personal and professional relationships. The practical impact of emotional literacy extends beyond personal growth. In leadership, clearly naming emotions builds trust and psychological safety. In parenting, helping children articulate their feelings strengthens resilience. In friendships and partnerships, understanding subtle emotional differences reduces misunderstandings. Emotional granularity, the ability to make fine distinctions between feelings, is linked to better mental health outcomes and more effective coping strategies. Ultimately, Atlas of the Heart is a map. It does not eliminate difficult emotions, but it helps us navigate them. The goal is not to feel less, it is to feel accurately and respond intentionally. When we can say, "I'm not just stressed, I'm overwhelmed," or "I'm not just angry, I'm hurt," we gain access to solutions that actually fit the problem. Clarity replaces chaos. Compassion replaces judgment. The summarizing message of this book is clear. Expanding our emotional vocabulary expands our lives. When we understand what we feel and why we feel it, we become more grounded, more empathetic, and more courageous. Emotional awareness strengthens connection with ourselves and with others. By learning the language of the heart, we gain the ability to move through uncertainty with resilience and to build relationships rooted in authenticity and trust.